This is Conversations with the Citizen. I am your host, Tia Carol Jones. I'm here today with Diane Latiker, founder of Kids Off the Block. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. How are you? And thank you.
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good, good. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm 65 years old, just made 65, and I'm still excited about helping young people. Before I started Kids Off the Block, I was a hairstylist.
Okay.
I hated it. But it made money, you know, and so I did that, and then all of a sudden, my 13-year-old Aisha, she became 13. She was a teenager, and so I'm like, uh-oh. So I have 8 kids, 4 boys and 4 girls, but she was the youngest. And I wanted to make sure Aisha graduated from high school and went to college, because she was the last one in the house.
Okay.
And I'm thinking to myself, once she's gone, I'm free. I can do whatever. You know, me and my husband go fishing and have fun. Not. Started taking Aisha and her friends different places, like swimming and skating and stuff. And it turned into something else.
Okay.
Because my mom came to me and said, you should do something with the kids, her friends, Aisha's friends.
Okay.
And I didn't want to do it. I really didn't, because I'm thinking I'm going to be free. And but there was another power that said, okay, you have this opportunity to help young people, her friends. And there were 9 of them, 13 to 15 years old, boys and girls. And I thought I knew her friends because she grew up with them.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
The boys, the gangs were, you know, trying to recruit the boys every day. They were all failing in school. And here I am sitting, I'm just I don't have any degrees, I don't, you know, math is, you know. And I'm thinking, how can I help, you know? But I invited them into my living room and sat down and just listened to them. And when they got through talking to me, I said, well, I got to do something. And so I opened up my home. I said, would you guys come every day, you know, and we talk about things and see how I can help. And they agreed. Next thing I know, there's kids I've never seen before in my life knocking on the door. And they're saying, you Miss Diane. They say you can help me. And I'm like, who can help you? And I let them in. And I haven't closed my door since, and that was back in 2003.
So, I know that you said that you started taking your youngest daughter's kids places and opening your doors.
Her friends.
Her friends.
Yeah.
I mean, friends, sorry. But what made you continue to do that work? Because it's one thing to say, okay, these are my daughter's friends. But it's another thing to say, come into my house and I have an open door policy.
It's really a whole different thing. I had no idea what I was doing, and I'm so glad I didn't, because if I did, I probably wouldn't have did it. I'm serious. I was very naive, you know, and because I had no idea about all this other stuff that goes along with helping young people.
Right.
I'm just trying to help her friends.
Right.
So when the new kids started coming in my house, like, I don't know these kids, you know. My husband threatened to divorce me quite a few times, because he was like, what are you doing? We can barely take care of ourselves, you know. And like in a span of 3 months, we had 75 kids in our house day and night.
Wow.
Literally, like the furniture got tore up, kids were sleeping on the floor because they were homeless.
Wow.
The gangs were threatening my family and myself. I had 2 gang leaders arrested in front of my house. You know, it was really like, this was not a decision that just you say, oh, I'm just going to do it. You know, I had no idea all this was going to happen, of course. But I kept going because I realized at 46 years old, I had found my passion. And it was like, it wasn't Diane Latiker, because Diane Latiker wanted to be on a fishing bank somewhere. It was a higher power than me. And when those young people, when they would say, thank you, Miss Diane, and it was just as small as maybe gathering up money, borrowing money to buy a pair of shoes because they didn't want to go to school, or helping them with homework. You know, I sold our family TV. That was the first time he threatened to divorce me, by the way. I had begged for this TV for like 2 weeks, and he kept saying no, because when he get home from work, he's like, leave my TV alone, you know. But I saw money in that TV to get used computers to help them with homework. So I sold it, And I got $600 and I bought some computers and 10 computers and a few printers and turned my dining room into a little computer lab. And when I tell you, those young people really appreciate it. They would come in and sit down and they needed help with homework, or they how to work the computer, which I'm learning myself, but we were learning together. And when I tell you, it was this feeling of, I'm actually doing something that they appreciate. And I try to tell everybody this. Everybody goes, that's so great what you do. No. Those young people didn't know who I was. I was a stranger in their community. They had enough courage to come to my house and ask for help. What do? You open the door. And that's what I did.
What are some of the other initiatives that you're involved in, and why did you want to get involved in them?
I'm not so sure I wanted to. We had to pivot when the pandemic hit.
Okay.
And so when the governor closed down the whole state, Kids Off the Block is a physical organization, so we're in the kids' face like every day.
Right.
We couldn't do that when the pandemic hit. So my husband and I, we sitting there, we seniors anyway, we scared of the violence, but we was doing something about that.
Right.
So we scared of the virus, but we said, no, we're not going to sit here. So we decided to start trying to feed the young people who couldn't get to the schools to eat because the schools were closed down.
Okay.
And we had a little raggedy van that we traveled in, and so we started putting food in the van and taking it around to the families, the kids we served. And next thing I know, it got spreaded, and we partnered with Reverend Jesse Jackson Push and a couple of other organizations, and we started getting 600 meals a day we were taking across the city. We were traveling over 300 miles a day to the north side, east side, west side, and to churches and shelters and homeless camps, And when I realized the need, we had our van was packed up with PPE every day, We had to pivot. We just had to. And it wasn't like I was thrown into it. It was like we had to do it. We couldn't just sit back and not do anything. And this thing had showed up, this health thing that could kill all of us. And these people out here didn't have access to, what they needed. And the need was great. So, yeah, I just got involved, and we've been involved since then. We actually work on anti-violence, like intervention and prevention. But we work on vaccines, too, especially since they start giving them to young people.
Okay.
Because, as everybody knows, young people, black young people, it's like, no, Miss Diane, I don't want that. They gonna kill me. I don't, it's all kind of myths and stuff, And so we've been working on that too. And actually, I'm glad that we are, because they have so much else to deal with in our communities,
In talking to young people, what is it they need the most?
Us, above everything else. They need us. They need adults. It's been so long ago, but when I remember being a young person, I needed adults. My mom was, I didn't know my father until I was 28, but my mom was always there, my mother and my father.
Okay.
And I needed her, but I also needed the people around her. I needed the people in my community. It was a lady named Miss Jones stayed down the street from us, and every time my mother go to work and I go to school, even in the summer, she'd be like, Ruth, that's my mom, Diane, blah, blah, blah. Ooh, I'd be wanting to hurt that lady. But when I got older, she was my protection. She fed me when my mom was at work.
Okay.
She watched over me. She made sure that I was okay. And I didn't appreciate that till I got older.
Okay.
If we had 100,000 Miss Joneses in our neighborhoods, it would be so cool, because young people need that. The doors are closed to them. You hear them talk about it. If they come on a block, everybody running, they skip. Well, and rightfully so. I do understand that, because they're the perpetrators, they're victims of violence. But at what point are we going to say, we got to get to know these young people so we can intervene? We got to do something. We can't sit by. But they do. They need, and when I say us, I don't mean in general. I mean that specifically, but with that, they also need resources. They need tools. They need good educational systems. They need the gamut, everything. Yeah.
Why did you want to write the book, Kids Off the Block?
To inspire others. I'm nobody. I'm somebody to my family. I mean, but I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I'm a lady who lived on a block in Roseland. We were trying to make it every day. But if I can do something, if I can, and maybe you don't want to do what I did, but do what you do. What issue do you care about? I wrote the book so you can look at me and say, wow, she didn't, she just came out of the house and did something. And I wanted people to see that up close. Because people see me in the news and they go, oh, she's doing it. She excuse me. It's hard. Helping people is not this fairy tale. Because you're not dealing with fairy tale people. You're dealing with real people, their lives. Is it easy? Yeah. No, it's not. But is it worth it? Yes. So that's why I wrote the book. I wanted you to see it up close and say, dang, Diane Latiker, she actually did it, and she's still doing it. Even people my age now. I'm now 65. And I meet a lot of people my age older. Oh, I can't do nothing. No, you're not. And if you can't or you won't, go help an organization that is.
That kind of leads me to my next question. What advice would you have for others who want to inspire and empower and help the youth?
Start where you are. We all know some young people. Even if they're in our family. We know them. Stop being afraid of them. Stop. Don't label them. There's a perception in the world of young black people. Seriously. And they've helped to perpetuate some of it. But what if we were bold enough to say, hey, young man, I've been cursed out so many times by young people because they're like, oh, lady, what do you want with me? I'm following the banner. And I tell them I want to have peace. I want to be able to sit on my porch. And, they'll curse me out, but then I'll see them later. And they're like, Miss Diane, I remember when yeah, you do. And then they ask for help. Because I'm scared, yes. I knew some of these young people. I knew their reputation. But was I going to sit back and close my door and he still might rob me one day? Or was I going to make myself known to him that I would help him? So, to me, we have got to realize that we are either part of it, that's silence, or we are part of it. We're involved. What are we?
What do you think it will take to end the city's gun violence?
A mass collaboration. We are so spotted. We need a safety net, a citywide safety net. That includes everybody because it affects everybody. If we had a citywide collaboration where everybody caught everybody, like what I didn't do, you did, and I knew you did that. And so this young person who is over here now, he's playing basketball. He loves that. But I don't have basketball, but you do. But also over here, he's in a game. And nobody can talk to him. Well, I know that you're a strong mentor over here, But he's coming to my program because he can't read. You understand what I'm saying? This whole thing is catching him, a safety net. He has nowhere to go. Where he gonna go? Everywhere he go, every place he try to go, there's somebody there to catch him. And there's somebody there to say, oh, I got that for you. You want to do that? You need that? I got it. Well, our city resources have that. I'm talking about from the neighborhood. I remember one time I was explaining something to President Obama. He had a virtual town hall, and I had to say it comes from the bottom up, not from the top down. In fact, impacting young people's lives, it comes from the bottom up.
Where can people go to find out more about you and Kids Off the Block?
They can go to kidsofftheblock.us. They can come on 116th of Michigan. We right there. Or they can go to our web. No, I'm sorry. They can go to our Instagram. They can go to our Facebook. They can find out more information, and they can find out what we're doing too.
And what's the Facebook page?
Kids Off the Block.
Okay, okay, great. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like our audience to know?
Yes. We're living in a time that's uncertain for all adults. We're all trying to make it. All of us. I don't care how powerful, how much money, we all are trying. What do you think our young people are going through? Their mind is not even there to comprehend all this stuff. What do you think they're going through? And when you talk to them daily, the stories, they don't even. And then we took them out of their social environment and put them in their homes. And I heard so much about that. We just started back up our program physically. And I heard so much they were so sad about that. They really had issues with that. Which, it was for their safety.
Right.
But they had, because they thrive on being social
Right.
with their peers. And then you told them to learn.
And then every home wasn't safe.
And they didn't want you to see their homes. All of them did.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Remember to make plans to join us again next week for Conversations with the Citizen, the place where real news